Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the middle of April, and we're starting to see a little bit of colour on some very early rooted cuttings. These are some plants in 9cm pots that were taken as cuttings about the 20th of January. So hence the reason for some early buds, mainly on the collarettes and on some of the water lilies. So there's going to be a little bit of colour next week. Obviously, these aren't the sort of plants we're sending out, and it's such a relief after what has been a very, very hard week, seeing the greenhouses actually starting to fill up with plants that we need to send out to you, our customers. It has been, as I mentioned, a very, very challenging season with very, very low light levels early on, which slowed growth down. Also seemed to have implications on how strong the cuttings were when we took them, which also results in how well they root. But here we're looking at benches that are filling up. We haven't had much of an issue, to be honest, with all the mediums and giant varieties. One or two have given us a bit of grief, dare I say, but most of those have been producing cuttings very well from stock benches. The biggest issue has been on some of the small and miniatures. Cannot quite get to the bottom of it. Some of the tubers didn't come through the winter so well, probably because the fields were so wet running up to winter. One or two tubers collapsed basically from the bottom up after showing good signs of life early on. We'll say we're starting to fill up quite nicely now, as you can see. We've been tidying up the benches in readiness for next week's dispatch. Sorting through, we've topped up with plants down from Ovington. This particular batch of April Heather, they were actually taken as cuttings on the 28th, 29th of March, and are looking really good and ready for going out. There's some lovely blackjack there, a large semi-cactus. There's actually 4 batches worth there from the front. Those cuttings would have been taken around about early March, going to the ones at the back there, which were taken around about the 28th of March. What that shows, as much as anything, is how much better the cutting material tends to be once the light levels get better. We don't use too much artificial light. They're rooted on heat mats. And this is another example. Here's Willows Borealis. Again, the front ones would have been mid-March cuttings. Those ones with the green labels there would have been taken about middle of March, and then this next tray is along with the blue labels in. They were taken on about probably the 30th of March for those ones. So they are coming on very, very quickly now. Not quick enough in some cases, because some varieties are still giving us, as I say, a bit of grief. These particular ones here, they've just come down from our Ovington branch today, weaning off on the shadier bit of the greenhouse, so they can be added to the benches for dispatch and back end of next week. Now these ones were only taken on between the 2nd and the 5th of April. Now, there's a lovely tray of Dahlia Jupiter there, very, very evenly rooted, 16 in a tray in a 20 cell pack, 100% rooting success. I wish I could say that was the same for every variety, but anybody that propagates their own will know that each variety is different, and sometimes each cutting in each tray can be different. There's trays here of the same variety where some have rooted very quickly and are growing away really well, and then you'll get a bit of unevenness. That's Kilmorey there, which can be a bit of an issue occasionally. Some are rooted, some sat there with no roots on at all. The worst ones for doing that with us are the Diane family. So anybody that tells you that growing dahlias is easy, they haven't really tried growing them on this scale before, is probably what I would say. Well, anyway, there's a view of our dispatch greenhouse. These cuttings on here are destined to go out not next week but the week after, although we are running around about a week to 10 days behind schedule, with some varieties holding orders up, or what we'll find is they'll probably have to follow on, so at least we can get plants out that are ready. That in itself creates us problems because obviously it's more postage, more packing. If only that root as evenly as sometimes say the chrysanths do, because we've got chrysanths over on that side of the bench, which they were all taken 3.5 weeks ago, I think it was now. The gap trays, they're what we've been dispatching out of this week, and then those ones on the other side are due to be dispatched next week. And we know generally with chrysanths you can put them in and put 5,000 cuttings in, and 5,000 cuttings will generally root within about 3 or 4 days of each other. With dahlias, it's a totally different ball game. You know, here's a mixed batch of varieties that are actually some larger orders that we do, but again just showing how lucky we are in whatever we do that we manage to get 100% success rate on a tray. That one's a variety called Abbey. The dark foliage one there will be blackjack. Sometimes the black ones are a bit more difficult to root evenly, but this year doesn't seem to be any problems. And that's what problem we have growing them. Every year seems to be different. Some varieties will do really well one year, and then the next you have problems. Oh, the joys. Within our dispatch house, we've still got a heated bench available just for those varieties that are maybe not performing as well when we get them down from Ovington, or that maybe need a bit more of a helping hand. Here we've got blue, green, and a few purple labels. Each of those colours denotes a batch, and roughly taking 7 to 10 days apart. Yet some of those cuttings look as if they were taken all at the same time. So that's it for this afternoon, folks. Have a great weekend. It's going to be a very chilly night tonight. Blue skies, very, very clear. The forecast and potential sub-zero temperatures, I think, for up here. So I hope you've got everything wrapped up well. And I'm going away, have some tea, have a relaxing day tomorrow, and then get all prepared for what will be a very, very busy week next week, with hopefully less issues than we've had this week. So have a good weekend, folks, and good night.